On a crisp autumn night in 2017, a mechanic named Travis Decker walked out of a small-town diner in the Midwest. He nodded politely to the waitress who had just refilled his coffee, pushed open the squeaky glass door, and disappeared into the cool October air. Minutes later, his truck rumbled to life under a flickering streetlight, but Travis never made it home. By dawn, his vehicle was discovered abandoned on a rural road, the engine still running, the driver's door wide open, and his phone, wallet, and keys left untouched inside. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. At first glance, it seemed like a sudden disappearance, a missing persons case. But what investigators uncovered in the days and months that followed would draw in the Federal Bureau of Investigation, expose potential ties to organized crime, and leave the question of Travis Decker's fate haunting his community to this day. Travis Decker was not the kind of man you'd expect to see splashed across FBI reports. At 32 years old, he was a lifelong resident of the town. People described him as dependable, hardworking, and quiet. A man who kept to himself but was always willing to lend a hand when a neighbor's car broke down. He worked as a mechanic at a small garage on the edge of town. By all accounts, he lived simply. A modest rented home, an old pickup truck, no wife, no children. He wasn't wealthy, but he had steady work, a tight-knit circle of friends, and no obvious enemies. That's what made his disappearance all the more unsettling. This wasn't someone on the run from debt collectors or wrapped up in a scandal. Travis wasn't living a double life, at least not one that anyone knew about. The night Travis vanished began like so many others. After a long shift at the garage, he stopped at a local diner where he was a familiar face. He ordered coffee, pie, and a sandwich, nothing out of the ordinary. Around 10:45 p.m., he paid his bill in cash, thanked the waitress, and walked out. That was the last confirmed sighting of him alive. By 2 a.m., a sheriff's deputy patrolling a backroad just outside town stumbled upon a strange sight. Travis's pickup truck sat idling at the shoulder, headlights cutting across the empty fields. The driver's door hung open. Inside were his wallet, phone, and keys. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no footprints leading away from the vehicle, just silence. To police, it looked like Travis had stepped out of the truck and vanished into thin air. At first, local law enforcement considered the possibility that Travis had simply walked away from his life. Maybe he was under stress. Maybe he wanted a fresh start. But those theories fell apart quickly. His phone records showed no unusual activity. His bank accounts remained untouched. He hadn't packed a bag, withdrawn money, or left behind any kind of note. Interviews with friends and co-workers painted a picture of stability. He showed up to work. He paid his rent. He didn't drink heavily, didn't use drugs, and wasn't in any kind of serious trouble that anyone knew about. Yet, small-town rumors started circulating. Some claimed Travis had a failing relationship with a coworker. Others whispered about debts from gambling nights at a bar across the county line. Police followed up, but found nothing concrete. Weeks passed with no leads, no sightings, and no answers, until a strange tip arrived. Surveillance footage surfaced from a truck stop nearly 300 miles away. The grainy black and white tape showed a man who looked strikingly like Travis. He appeared disoriented, glancing over his shoulder, before disappearing from the frame. The sighting pushed the case beyond the reach of local police. If Travis had traveled across state lines, whether willingly or under duress, this was no longer just a county matter. The FBI stepped in. Federal agents began by analyzing Travis's phone pings. They discovered late-night calls to an unidentified number in the weeks leading up to his disappearance. That number, they learned, was already flagged in an FBI investigation, connected to an organized crime network suspected of trafficking stolen auto parts across several states. For a mechanic like Travis, this connection was chilling. Had he unknowingly stumbled across illegal operations at his workplace? Or was he more deeply involved than his friends ever knew? Forensic teams revisited his truck. Using luminol, they uncovered faint blood traces on the driver's seat, not visible at the scene. Testing confirmed it was Travis's blood. The discovery transformed the case from a missing persons file into a suspected homicide. Months later, An anonymous tip led agents to an abandoned farmhouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, they discovered several of Travis's belongings. His work overalls, his watch, and, most disturbingly, a collection of notebooks. The journals hinted at growing paranoia. Travis wrote about being followed, about overhearing suspicious conversations at the garage, about the wrong people watching him. In one chilling entry, he scrawled, "If anything happens to me, they'll know why." But beyond these cryptic warnings, there was no sign of Travis. No body, no further evidence of where he had gone. The FBI continued to probe the auto parts trafficking ring, but they never found conclusive evidence linking Travis directly to the organization. Was he a whistleblower who got too close to the truth? Was he coerced into something darker and then silenced? Or was the truck stop footage proof that he had escaped, only to be hunted down later? To this day, his case remains open. His name sits in the FBI's database of unresolved disappearances. His family and community still hold vigils, still wonder if someone knows more than they've admitted. The disappearance of Travis Decker embodies everything that makes a true crime case so haunting. An ordinary man, a sudden vanishing, evidence of foul play, and just enough clues to suggest a larger conspiracy. But without a body, without definitive proof, Travis's story sits in limbo, a mystery balancing between murder and disappearance, between chance and conspiracy. And that's why it remains unforgettable. What do you think happened to Travis Decker? Was he a victim of organized crime? Did he try to expose something bigger than himself? Or did he vanish by choice, leaving only enough evidence to confuse investigators?